one of the players that everybody wanted to observe was Tyleik Williams, the number 28 overall pick, having played a long season at Ohio State. He was there for an early portion of a team period, but then when it went to individual drills, it was a situation in which Williams was limited. So right away, once practice was over, during the drills, we would see him working on the side with trainers, and he was running the Matt Patricia Hill. If you're familiar with Allen Park, if you guys get a chance to go out there, at the very far corner of the practice facility, the two football fields, the hills that Matt Patricia installed are still there. And you'll oftentimes see players go out there and run it and for conditioning. So he was doing work and spent some time there. So right after practice, we get a chance to meet Tyleik a little bit one-on-one. And he's asked right away, what happened? Why are you limited? Now, some people were speculating and looking at the fact that he's kind of documented that he's been dealing with a hamstring in the past, but he came out right away and said, look, I'm good. I'm healthy. It's a team decision. I played a long season at Ohio State. And similarly, this is not new because that's kind of how Ennis Rakestraw kind of started along, where he was dealing with stuff and they didn't want to rush him along when he got out to the football field his first time out. So he indicated that he's good, that it was a team decision because it's going to be a long year. And so they did not want to rush him out there, especially if he's not maybe exactly ready to go. So look, it's one of those deals where it's team decision and he feels like he was out there and ready. And I do think that we got a chance to see a little bit of his size and what we're going to get with a player of his caliber. Clearly, what Ray Agnew said was, we like his run stuffing ability. He's going to clog the middle. But what was interesting was the fact that Brad Holmes and Ray Agnew have said, sneakily, his pass rush is a little bit underrated. So I do think that there's room for growth to see what he can do in terms of winning battles, getting in the gaps, and maintaining his responsibilities. But I'm curious to see what he could do as a pass rusher. How do you see his potential just based on the film work that you did? You clearly know he's a run stuffer, but I'm interested in your take on, do you think he could become somewhat of a player that can get to 5 to 8 sacks a year as a individual that can rush the passer?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the tip of the ceiling for him would be that 5 to 8, potentially even 10 sack range. And I think that's if he slides to the 3 technique. I think just based on the workload that nose tackles see and the amount of bodies they see and double teams and things like that, if he sticks long term at nose tackle, it's going to be tough for him to consistently get in that 8 to 10, 7-ish sack range. But I mean, even if that's the case, if he unlocks his full potential, that's going to be a guy that at the very least is racking up a ton of pressures and opening things up for other guys on the defensive line. I do think he's got a lot of potential in that area. I think if he can continue to convert speed to power, just with how quickly he gets off the line of scrimmage, I think that there is an avenue for him to be a huge piece on that defensive line. As far as him being limited in rookie minicamp, I don't think that's anything to really read in too much. He was very open about why they were limiting him. He said it didn't have anything to do with injuries. And another portion of that is the fact that, like we said, it's non-contact practice. There's not going to be a whole lot for him to do in terms of like team period. Yes, there's one-on-one stuff and there's different things you can work through in one-on-ones without getting to necessarily the point of contact. But as far as what he's going to be able to do overall, there's just not a ton for him in a non-contact practice. So I think that this is a smart thing for the Lions. Limit him now so that when you get into mini camp and you're putting shoulder pads on and going through work with shoulder pads and shorts and shells and that thing, he can be more of a participant and a contributor. And then, like you said, he was doing conditioning work when he wasn't out there getting reps. And I think that's only going to bode well for him so that he's in really good shape when training camp rolls around and they throw the pads on and they're going full contact. So I'm not too worried about Tyleik Williams right now. And I do think that he's got a pretty high ceiling, and I'm excited to see him get rolling once training camp starts.